Friends, this is Ganesh. Hope you are doing great. Happy to learn together. In this video, I'm going to explain how to make a connectivity between OData service and screen elements. So far, we have created a few examples with the help of UI5 application template. It is very basic template, and we didn't use any templates like master detail or work list. The reason behind is we have to start everything manually, so it's very easy to understand. As an ABAPer, we are going to learn a new platform. This is not at all relevant for ABAP. Whatever the format we learn is quite different, so we prefer go with the manual creation. So then it's very easy to understand once you create any application using a template or try to understand the existing application. Okay, so today also we are going to create the OData service using the same application. So UI5 application, it has very limited level of code. So we are going to add the OData service manually, and we are going to write the code to get the data from OData service also to the particular screen element. So that is quite simple to understand. Normally which file is depends on what. Okay, because we have different files. So far we used only one file as like .xml file, view.xml file for screen design, and today we are going to learn one more file called manifest.json file. So that file is the major area where your OData service are going to be registered or used. Very simple ABAP word, I can say declaration. So if you want to use any OData service, that needs to be declared somewhere. Those kind of declarations are going to happen in a file called manifest.json. If it is a one OData service or multiple OData service, whatever it is, it's going to happen there first. Okay, once you registered or declared, then you can use the OData service and use the entity set and use the particular field for a screen element. So that is the idea of this session. So let's get into the slides first. So pre-request first is OData service level. So I'm not going to create anything in the OData service because you are good with the OData service. If not, just go through the other videos and make sure you have very basic idea of creating an OData service, registering your OData service, make sure your service is working fine. So if these are ready, then you are able to go and do the connectivity between OData service backend and your UI5 screen element. So SEGW, make sure you have an entity set. I'm talking about entity set, not entity type. You have normally you have an entity set, right? N number of entity set, it's not a problem. So that entity set, if you want to be addressable or if you want to be added in your UI5, make sure the addressable option is selected from your SEGW level. So SEGW, if you go, this is my project, and go to the entity set, I have only one entity set that needs to be checked, this option to be checked. You can just play around with this, just take out the tick mark, register, sorry, generated your project, and go to UI5, and there is a screen where you are connecting your OData service, and this service is not going to display over there because this entity is not selected as addressable. Okay, so make sure this is going to be selected over there, and then OData registered, and make sure you're getting 200 status. So meaning your OData services get the data from the backend system. So register your service using a transaction maintain underscore service, and then just run with an entity set and just go through your data XML output or whatever data you're expecting, whether it is coming or not. So make sure these are available, these are ready in OData service before we move to the next step. Okay. And yeah, this is optional. Normally, if you are in a rental system, you don't worry about it. I have explained about what is trusted RFC, what is non-trusted RFC. And if you're really in your client system, make sure this what connection normally you are using if you have an independent gateway server. The reason behind this, normally trusted RFC connection, you're not able to, the design, the configuration of trusted RFC is, it won't support debugging. Okay, so that way they configured actually. So that is the case. What happens, you're not able to keep any breakpoint in your OData service method level and trying to create from UI. Okay, just execute the UI. That is not possible. If you're rental, please ignore it. This is not a mandatory step for our the particular video. And So web ID level, make sure the backend connections are good, like the host file and everything. So these are already there, but make sure these connections are good. And then we are going to get into a new file called .json file, manifest.json file. So every project once you create, this one automatically generated with few lines of code. As we are creating a UI5 application, like empty application, no templates, it has very limited code only. So inside the JSON file, we are going to add our OData service or services. So depends on your need. You can add one, how many services you want. Mostly we have one service with lot of entity sets in real time. It depends. Sometimes we may have one UI application, may have more than one OData service also required. So the default behavior is nothing but the first OData service, the default service. Normally, once you create with a template, work list or master view template, it creates a OData service with a name called main service, like this, main SS capital main service, and it always pointed to that OData service by default. Okay, so we can make it in manual also. And custom specific as from the second OData service onwards, we are going to give a name for that particular OData service. Because we have multiple OData service, depends on the need, we need to get the data from OData service 1 and OData service 2. So we have to give some specific names, make sure this is the data is getting from the relevant OData service. Okay, very simple. So first is always default, and from second onwards we need some name. I can say some alias name or identification name for the OData servers. Or you can do even my first OData service also, I want to give a name. Yes, that is possible. So if it is a default, we'll show you where it is default, where we have to give the custom name. If it is a default, system recognize this is the first or default OData service. Whenever there is a field name given, whenever there is a entity set name given, only the entity set, only the field name is going to point to your default OData service. There is a name or alias name before your entity set or before your OData service field, then is going to point it to the relevant OData service. Okay, that is the difference. Still, you want to say no, I don't want any default. I want to give a name for my first service also. Yes, that is possible. Okay, so make sure this is the way it behaves. The next one is, okay, this is the code. So once we added a code, we don't want to write this code manually because we have an option we call code editor and one more, I just forgot the name. There's an editor. It's like you can have a plus button. Once you click the plus button, it will take you to the OData page. You might remember once you create a service, you might remember that page. So it gives what is your connection. I explained that page maybe the first or second session. It shows what are the systems are connected based on your host file configuration. Once you selected, it will listed all the OData service relevant to the system. Make sure your OData service is created, OData project is created, and it's registered with the transaction also. Okay, so once it is registered, then only that will listed out in that particular place. So selected, automatically this code is will write by system, so you don't want to write manually. So this is automatically added in the manifest.json file. So we'll go to that. That is the first step. Make sure I'm declaring my OData servers. Okay, once you declare, one more step to be added in the manifest, make sure it is getting loaded also by default. It means it get the data. So for that, there is a place in the same manifest.json, there is a place called models. It just added the models from where this models to be get the data, or it's preloaded, I can say. So that is coming under this models. Under the models, so here you can see inside this I'm added it. Okay, so under the model, I'm going to add one more thing called data source. So data source is a main service. Main service is nothing but the name of the my OData. It's by default main service. You can give OData 1, OData 2 like that also. So then if you have to give the same name over here. So with the help of this, it automatically initiated your OData service. The data are loaded. Okay, that's what the meaning of this. So under the models, this has to be done manually because we are going to use UI5 application. Okay, not the templates. This has to be done manually. And suppose I want to add one more OData service. So this is a company code and this is a sales OData service. Then the same steps I'm going to follow using the plus mark. I'm going to add one more OData service. So here I'm going to give a different alias name or identification name is OD2. Okay, once this is done, this is also you don't want to write manually. Once you add it automatically added in the manifest.json. Once it is added, after the next line, after the comma, I'm going to add ODS2. This is my own identification, right? Data source is OD2, but my word identification is ODS2. Whatever you are identified here, that we are going to use in the view level. Okay, so if it is a default, I'm not going to give anything. It's a blank, so just give only the entity set, only the field name. It obviously pointed to this OData service. But if you give the alias name or identification name of your OData of the model, then automatically it pointed to the second OData service or relevant OData service. So these are things which we have to take care in the manifest.json. So once you do this manually, it's very simple to understand. Whatever you have for your application, whatever OData service they use, directly go to the manifest.json file and you have to understand how it is configured. Okay, so this we are going to do today. And how to write the code. So in the view level, I'm going to use, this is for the list box. Okay, so here I just mentioned with this bracket slash and then entity set name. What is the entity set name? So once you added, I have to show you that also, maybe not in the screenshots and not in the PPT. So once you added a OData service, there is a metadata file automatically created. I will show you that also under your project only. Okay, so every OData service is automatically added one metadata file. It's easy to understand the file or the entity set name and field names and everything. So I'm giving slash C code set, whatever it is, it's an entity set name within the curly braces. So here I didn't do any identification or alias name. So if nothing is added before your entity set, automatically it's pointed to your default OData servers. Here also I added only the field names inside the curly braces. What happens? It pointed to the default OData service. Okay. So this is for select list box. And this I have done it for checkbox. So checkbox I am going to do all the materials. This is coming under a different OData service and that OData service entity set name is sales set. So here I just mentioned the ODS2 is nothing but identification which I done in the manifest file. ODS2, this one. Okay, not this. This is the OData source. This is the identification name which I have to use in my view. So ODS2 and then entity set ODS2 and then material. There is a syntax is like, what is this actually, greater than symbol slash entity set, and here also identification greater than and your field name, OData service field name. So once you have done, automatically the values are getting from your OData service entity set or OData service the particular field name. Clear? That's it. Hope you have some idea about now how to connect the OData service. We'll do the same in the system now. So here, let me log into my web IDE. Okay, let me close everything. So these are things which I have used. I'm going to create a new project. So we are using this SAP UI5. If you use Fiori application, work list or list report, automatically the manifest and everything is getting filled with the OData service. But we started with this UI5 application, manual things. Let go with that also today. Next, and project is screen with OData. Okay, no namespace I didn't give, optional. Next, XML view and everything, finish. So now I have very simple folders and everything. So here you will not see any extra things. So once we started adding the OData service, you will find some extra folders are getting created by default. So here, this is the view which we are going to show. Maybe I can execute. You get only title, I believe. Yeah, it's getting, so just a title. Okay, it's coming from I18N property over here. So from here, if you execute, these are already known. It's coming from here. Okay, so maybe I can change the title as screen elements with OData. Screen elements with OData. So save it and execute. Yeah, fine. So now it's empty now. Even the view also empty. I'm not going to add anything right now. I'm going to add my OData service. But you can add the OData service anytime. Suppose you design your screen. I want to add a OData service. Yes, you are able to do it. So go to manifest.json, double click. So a few lines of codes are there. It's fine. So here, this is the one, descriptor editor. I forgot the name. So we have code editor and descriptor editor. So I'll go with this one. It's pretty simple. And go to the option called data source and select it. I'm going to add my OData service with the help of this screen. Even code also you can able to write it, but anyway, this is easy and at least for beginners. Okay, so just click this, and this system, this screen might be, you might aware of it. So once your host file is configured, then all your backend systems are listed here. Select it as per your need, and here you have to mention what is the like backend system servers, sorry, backend system credentials. Once your backend systems are configured correctly in host file, you will get this pop-up. If this is not coming, then some issue with your host file. Let me give the credentials first. Okay, so I have given it and just connected. It will listed all the OData service from the relevant system. Okay, whatever is registered, that is very important. So I'm going to type CGI. Automatically, it's going to be shorted here. Okay, let me show you the service first. Okay, because that is the first few steps to be make sure this is service is ready, is running perfectly. Okay. These are my service. So I'm going to use this company code, which has very few things. One entity's type. It has two fields, box and BU text. Okay. And this entity set as selected addressable. And I'm going to use this option, sales. And this is going to be few fields here, sales number, sales item and material. This entity set also the selection got the addressable selection. Yeah, it's enabled. Okay, then go to the service, the CGI underscore. So both are added here. The services are ready. Make sure it's running perfectly. So company code, go to gateway and use the entity set. This is the entity set I showed you in the PPT, C code set, and execute. So make sure you're getting the 200 and you're getting the values also. Okay, so these are the two things, right? So the box and text is coming fine, and go back, use this service gateway. I have limited the code or limited the data like up to 20 rows or up to 10 rows. I don't want to dump more data. So sales set, execute. Yeah, so both services are giving 200 now, so we are good to go. These are the three fields is coming, number, item and material. Anyway, I'm going to use only material from this service. Okay, so these are the two different services. It's not one service, two entities, it's two different OData services which I'm going to use in my UI. So now go here. The first I'm going to use company code and click next. So override existing OData service connection actually is not, and so I'm not going to select it. Just click finish. So it's done. And if you select it, you'll be able to see the URI and everything. This is not required for us, and local URI also. local service metadata.xml. So this is the folder you are able to see here. It's got created newly after added the OData service. You got local service where you're able to see your metadata. Once you add one more OData service, you will get one more OData metadata file to be created here. Okay. Whenever there is a first OData service, that is a default for the entire project. So make sure that. Okay. So now if you go to code editor, you're able to see here this line. This is what we have seen. It's automatically created. So data source name is this one. If you want to change, you can change it. But normally if you create through template, the name of that one is main service. Okay, so any name, any custom name you can give. So one thing to be added here is go little down. There is a model. Yeah, here is a models. So one is already done. Okay, so this is already done for the file I18N. So after this, I'm going to add it. Make sure you're going to add the information between the models parentheses, open and close brackets. Okay, so this is model one, consider, and I'm going to add my second model. So after the second close bracket or parenthesis, I'm going to have this curly braces. Sorry, curly braces. Okay. So here I'm going to add the name. By default, I want to point it to my OData service. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give empty. You can give anything. Maybe we can add it in the second OData service. Okay. And it needs to be opened and closed. Okay. So let's find the code here. So empty, open, and okay, there's a colon. Then open and closed. Data source is capital and the name whatever we have given over here. Okay, that is the one. Okay, so colon data source. Okay, just a colon only. Okay, colon within single quotes main servers. So the case sensitive. So make sure. Okay, that's it. And comma, because this is one new model we have added, right? Space. It's not required. What's the error? Okay, so this needs to be a comma because it's a second model, right? Okay. So few things, and this is done. What is the syntax? Is batch string, data source, main, and everything is done. 1 minute. Let's check. Okay. Sorry, the syntax like this and this. Okay, so this is done. This is done. And this is going to be a 1 because there's not a continuation now. Okay, that's good. So there is a star. You receive it. Okay, so we are good enough for the first OData service. Now try to execute it. If there is a OData service and it's perfectly connected, there is no syntax error, it's fine, means the database that OData is ready to connect, then you will get the backend system credentials. So you have to give that to connected. Okay, so let me give that. So once you give and click sign in, yes, you are able to get the screen. So in view, we didn't add anything. At least make sure the OData service is working fine. Yes. So now go to view. So I made the first OData as a default one. So I can give only my entity set and then field name directly without any alias or identification. So select and you have to make sure what is the aggregation property of this particular screen element. So for this it's items. So here I'm going to give within the curly braces CODSE set. I believe I'm giving the correct what do you call it? the camel case or his caption small and everything is correct over here. So make sure go to local service, double click metadata.xml, so it will give. So this is for the company code, the first one I have added it, and this is the name of the entity type. So automatically entity set is this one, set is capital, so C code set, and these are the fields I have, and this is the key field of my entity type property. So very basic things. Okay, so here you have an entity set, so maybe you can copy and paste it over there. Better option, go to view slash is required, let me delete and paste it. Okay, that's it, and just play around. Items I need, and I need a core, so for that I need a library to be added. Core sap.ui.core. Okay, so here I'm going to give core dot item. So key is, I'm going to give the first one books, BUKRS. So here also is case sensitive. Make sure the first one is capital. How you define, go to the metadata XML and make sure how it defined in the backend. So use the same here, and text BUTXT. Okay, and close it. Okay, items closed, and select to be closed. So you should not close there because it has a dependent one. Okay. So hope it's fine, should work. Let's see. Execute. Okay, yeah, it's working. So these are the informations. Actually, I given only 20. Okay, up to 20 rows. I can show you the entity set also. So you can select that. Okay. So if you want, you can keep a breakpoint. It should work. It should stop over there. Okay. So here, go to runtime, artifact for company code, and redefine method. So I have only 20 rows. It's very long back I kept, I believe. So delete and keep it one more time. So now go here and execute it or refresh it, whatever it is. Okay, it comes and stops here. Okay, so F6. So I have only 20 records, and F8, it's populated. Okay, hope you might understand how to connect the OData service and how to get the data from the OData service field to the screen element. So now I'm going to add my second OData service. So you have only one metadata, right, inside the local service by default. Okay, now go to manifest and go to this descriptor editor. And one more thing I have to mention, whatever name you are changed in the code service, like code editor, it's automatically reflected here. Previously it has the service name, I changed to main service, so it's reflected here also. Okay, I'm going to add the second OData service, system, excuse me, CGI. So company code, but I want sales. Your service name is going to display here. Okay, next, finish. Okay, oh, already exited. Okay, so few things, so forget about it, mostly it happens, come on, yeah, mostly it happens in this kind of rental systems. It's fine. So it's added already, second OData service, and this is a URI, whatever it is, it's happened nice. Now I'm going to code editor because one small step to be added, and if you see, your second OData service also added in the data sources. Okay, so here I'm going to give, you can keep this as it is, or if you want to modify, you can modify it. Okay, I'm going to keep as it is. Copy this. This needs to be added one of the data source in the model. Little come down. Yeah. So here I'm going to add a comma because I'm going to add one more OData service here. And here I'm giving identity is OData2 colon open data source. Okay, and again colon this. That's it. Save it. Okay. Seriously. Okay, I'm not sure how far it's got added. It's pain. Okay. SAP. Okay, let's see here. Manifest. Okay, it's added the second node in the service. That level is good. I think only the model. Oh, that's also added. Very good. Save it. Okay, so OData2 service also added. OD2, that is the alias name. So this is default and this is the alias name. So now go to your view and I'm going to have a VBox, vertical box, and it has a aggregation property items. And here I'm going to add OD2. That's what I mentioned in my model. Symbol greater than symbol slash. So now I was searching for this CJ sales service. It was not there in the previous 2 seconds video, but what happened is I just figured it out. Some crash happened while adding a manifest. What I did is I went here and delete this service using this option and add it once again because it happened something, so that what is not added over there. Once you add it, automatically it will show where your metadata file is. So local service ZJI sales serve, that is also one of the folder, then metadata. Now you are able to see. So first OData service is always the default one. Next onwards, every OData service you will get a subfolder under the local service, and then inside the service you will get the metadata. Okay, so this part was missing, so I removed and added it. Now it's came. Okay, so now go to the view and double click. So this is a metadata for sales. Okay, so now what is my entity set? This is the entity set. So copy this and go to view, keep it here. That's it. Close and done. So remaining all simple items, and I'm going to add a checkbox just coming from SAP.m, and then text is coming from OD2, and what is the field name? So field name as material. Copy this, come here and paste it. Close it. Close the checkbox. Okay. Close it. And then close the checkbox. Okay. Save it. So now execute. So now I have two OData service. There is no identification, so it just refer my default OData service, first OData service, and here I have an identification or alias. It's going to point out to my second OData service. Execute. It comes here. Okay, because there's a breakpoint. Let's goes. Okay, so here the OData service, second OData service is working. That's what is repeated the screen element that much time, but the description is not coming, means the field value is not coming. Okay, this is my mistake. There is no slash in the field. So slash is for entity set, not for the fields. So just give the greater than and the field name. Let's see here, refresh. Yeah, that's worked. Okay. So this is coming from the OData service 2 and this is coming from the OData service 1. So today we learned about manifest.json. So how the OData servers, especially in the code editor, your OData service are added and you have to change this one. So if you want to change my main service also some identification name, you can say OD1, save it, and if it didn't work because you added identification for your OData service 1 also. So it's not default. So if you added the name here under the models, then in view also you have to change OD1, right? So here also you have to change OD1, OD1 greater than, and OD1 greater than. Save it, and here the format is very important. Greater than. Save it, go here, refresh. Let's load it. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. If you want a default, keep this. The name of your model is empty, or you can give any name. So it's not only always default, but it prefers always you go with maximum number of times. Go with the first OData service. Keep as a default. You don't, otherwise every field you have to add unnecessarily. Okay. Always an application have only one OData service, mostly with multiple entity set. So preferable is always keep this place as empty. Okay, that's a better one. So hope you might have some idea how to give a connectivity between your OData backend system data to a screen element using an OData service, and you learn few things like local service folder and metadata and everything. Just go through this. If you have any doubt, please let me know. Thank you so much for your time. See you in the next video. Bye.